with you there, but if you're a coach, do you take that chance?
Yes. You can reach us at the Off the Record Show at gmail.com. Anthony Adebayo and the most accurate sports coverage. Scotty B's Fantasy 5.
We're different from any other sports.
His sophomore year. Comes back and says, you know what?
And your boy, Scotty B.
You know what, Scott? I ain't even make sure our audio was good, yo. So if y'all can hear us in the audio, it's good. It's good. It's good. Welcome everyone. This is Off the Record. I'm Anthony Adebayo.
It's your boy Scotty B, man. Welcome back.
So we had like a 2-week hiatus,
right.
For a number of reasons. If you want to judge us, we don't care. It is what it is. You know, we need breaks too. But I promise you, we didn't want to take a break. Things just happen.
Yeah, things definitely just happened out the blue. We were supposed to record last week, and then my equipment was a little bit messed up, so we didn't get a chance to record last week. And then week before, I think it was just a busy schedule. But we back now.
Yeah.
But I'd be. Yeah, I have to just congratulate myself on winning the Battlegrounds. Now you're sitting next to another 2-time champ.
All right, so can I get your stuff off. Pause. Go off because
Yeah. So look, I'm not gonna go too far into it because I know I gotta see you next season, and I gotta see some other people next season. So I
ain't even worried about next season. I'm gonna tell you like this. There was some funny business happening out in the Battleground streets, and I'll leave it at that. But I will say this: you did win, so congratulations. You won.
Thank you.
Congratulations. But if we do that battle again, it won't even be close. I'm telling you that right now to your face. If we do that, sometimes you kind of get in your own way. And just bear with us with the
visual.
With the visual, yeah, it's gonna get back to normal because I'm telling you, from my point of view, it looks great. But I understand sometimes we pushing out too much power. But nah. So man, we got a lot to talk about.
Okay.
I think it's the preseason is getting ready to end. It's coming to a close. You got week 3 of the preseason coming up, and so with week 3 comes fantasy football drafts.
Okay.
Right. So I did want. I know. In the intro, you hear Scotty B's Fantasy 5. He's a fraud. I'm gonna tell you that now, right? Scott's a fraud because he doesn't want to do the Fantasy 5 because he doesn't want anyone to pick up on what I'm dog. So I'll say this before we even get into fantasy. We will be doing the season preview show on Sunday, September 3rd. It'll be Scott and myself. I think our good friend Jamal will be here, Phil will be here, and I believe Marcus will be here. So tune in. It's gonna be a good time. I want to say September 3rd, 12 p.m. So that's a 2-hour show. So it's gonna be a lot of good information in regards to who we have in each division, who we have in our MVPs, our offensive player of the year, rookie of the years for offense and defense, coach of the year, and our Super Bowl champs. We'll go through each division and our Super Bowl champs. So September 3rd. But fantasy is huge because that same day, we have a full-on live draft for our one of our leagues, our MBK league, My Brothers Keeper League. And I'm gonna tell you, people, if you've ever played in a competitive fantasy football league, you know exactly what's gonna happen on that day.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be a lot of trash talk, and you know, it's a lot of people.
It's already trash talk.
It's gonna be epic. You know, last year was epic too. I know you've been working behind the scenes to kind of streamline our actual draft process. I commend you for that. But yeah, this year is gonna be epic too. I think everybody is they're talking this shit just like in real football. You know, you have a preseason winner, or you know, you have everybody thinks they have a shot. So,
but everybody has a shot week one.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I think last year was a first. We had somebody that didn't have a shot week one and tanked before the season even started. And he might be watching right now. So let's get a hand for Charles. Charles, I think if you're there, you know. Hey, everybody, just give us 10 seconds. We're gonna try and switch feeds so we can get better audio, visual for y'all. We're back. All right. Hopefully the visual gets better, and if not, we'll figure it out. All right. So Scotty.
Yeah, I'm listening.
All right. Fantasy football. Like we were saying, drafts. This league is competitive. So when we draft, it's going to be, you know, competitive. Now, let's talk about, I guess we could talk about like draft etiquette, things you shouldn't do within the draft. And we could, and you know, I know you don't want to do your fantasy 5.
No, I'll talk.
Okay. A little bit. All right. So what are some of the do's and the don'ts of a fantasy draft?
So I think this year you don't have to overreach for a quarterback. I think that it's going to be plenty of quarterbacks there. I think that typically up until the emergence of PPRs, you had like a lot of running backs going early. But I think with PPRs, now you're starting to see a trend of like a lot of receivers in the first couple of rounds. So I think that's been something that's changed to where it used to be everybody had to pick a running back the first round. If you didn't pick a running back the first round, you were kind of just shit out of luck. But
so you're saying that in fantasy, running backs are getting treated like they are in reality?
Yes.
Damn.
Yeah, so there's a couple of things, right? So you got PPRs, which you're getting points for receptions.
Right.
So if you got a running back that really doesn't catch the ball out the backfield, that hinders you. And then on top of that, you've got running back by committees. So, I mean, you have a couple of situations where you got guys where they have that backfield to themselves, but now for the most part, it's like share. Like, let's look at the Jets. Let's take the Jets, for instance, right? They got Dalvin Cook. They got Breece Hall. I mean, that's as good of a 1-2 punch as you can get. But do we stay leery of Dalvin Cook or Breece Hall because they're not going to get like the same amount of touches? And I'm not saying don't draft them, but it's not the same as drafting Dalvin Cook with the Vikings.
Right. So Dalvin Cook with the Vikings was, what you say, a top 5 pick?
Easy.
Or
he was a first round pick.
First round pick?
Yeah.
So here's the thing. Brees Hall, they don't really know where he is, right? So he's still hurt.
Now he's back. He's back at training camp.
Yeah, but he's not 100%. So Dalvin Cook is going like at least probably first quarter of the season.
Good.
I don't know. I mean, yeah, but Dalvin Cook is going to get a majority of the carries.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, they didn't bring Dalvin Cook and pay him that amount of money to not give him the lion's share of carries. Like he's going to get the lion's share, but if Brees Hall is able to sustain himself to where like he's came back from camp, and if he's able to continue and not go injury free, the Jets would be doing themselves a disservice by not giving him the opportunity. So you kind of almost look at it, well, I look at it almost as a Zeke Tony Pollard situation. And that's probably the more recent scenario that I could think of, to where I felt like both backs could have had 1,000 yards rushing. Which
they think they both got 1,000 yards rushing this year?
It's possible. It's possible, but it's only one football.
Yeah, I mean they'll make that work. So if there's a backfield that can have 2,000-yard backs, you think they're the best bet
right now?
So,
I mean, let's talk about it. I mean, because right now, I think they have the best 1-2 punch.
Ooh.
And I know that's a lot to put on Brees Hall, but give me a better 1-2 punch right now.
Right now?
Yeah, right now. Not in the past, but like right now.
So I'll give you a couple that I think if they're not up there. I mean, if they're not number one, they're up there, right? I think an obvious choice would be New England with Zeke and Stevenson, right? Zeke just rushed for almost 900 yards last year, and probably could have gotten to 1,000, but I think he missed like 2 games. Then you have
So stop there, right?
Okay.
I think that was a good 1-2 punch, and I think that depending on who you are, you could argue that that's a better 1-2 punch.
Okay.
I personally don't think so.
Okay.
But
I got another
statistically, you could say that their production last year, they outproduced Brees Hall.
Well, he got
hurt.
But he got hurt. He got hurt.
But they,
the track that he was on,
right?
It's So I got another one for you. Algier and Bijan Robinson in Atlanta. Algier rushed for 1,000 last year, and I'm almost certain that Bijan Robinson can rush for 1,000.
Bijan Robinson looks like a man among boys.
Yes,
absolutely. I mean, it's no surprise. I mean, we followed his college career. I mean, he wasn't a top 10 pick for no reason. I mean, he's going to ball out, right?
Right.
But you think that that's a better 1-2 punch than Brees Hall and Dalvin Cook?
I didn't say that.
Yeah.
I didn't say that.
Yeah. So
what I'm saying is, I'm giving you a set. If they're not number one, they could be up there, right?
Okay. No. So I gotta shout you out because I didn't think of that. So I thought of Ezekiel Elliott and my guy Stevenson. But okay, I can see where you're going. You have another one?
I do have another one. You just gotta give me a second because I gotta get the other running back's name because I drew a blank just now. But I kind of don't want to say this team, but they kind of have like so I'm talking about Philly, right? So here's the thing. Do you want to call Jalen Hurts a running back? I would say no, but some may say possibly.
So you got Gainwell, you
got Swift, you still got Penny.
Scott, and then you got Penny.
Right. And Trey Sermon. But he's probably going to be the odd man. One of them are going to be the odd man out. Because I don't think you can have all 5 of them on the roster.
You know what's even crazier? Some people still think that they will go after Jonathan Taylor.
The Eagles?
Yeah.
I don't know where they're getting all this money from.
So,
because you're going to have to pay him.
So I believe they own the Saints' 2nd round pick.
Mm-hmm. From last year.
Yeah, from last year,
mm-hmm.
which they can use as bargaining. And if the Colts are willing to accept a 2nd rounder for him, which
mm-hmm.
I think that's pretty comparable, right? Because you look at Christian McCaffrey. Christian McCaffrey went for a 2nd rounder.
He did,
and a 4th. I really think that they could figure that out if they really wanted to. Now, it wouldn't be smart just with all those backs.
Yeah.
But, I mean, shoot, I've heard possibly Dallas.
They use Dallas for everything. Let's be honest. They use – if there's anybody that's going to – listen, anybody that was either going to get traded or a free agent, they threw Dallas in there. They're going to use Dallas for everything. And I'm going to get to some Dallas talk because I heard some stuff earlier today that I'm going to call some quite famous people out because to me, they're I don't want to say they're being unfair, but – and I don't even want to say they're doing lazy journalism, right? Because I wouldn't disrespect them like that. But if you're going to hold people accountable, hold people accountable. And I'll leave it at that. We'll get to that a little later.
We definitely have to circle back to that.
Yeah. So, you said Dallas. But I'll give you another team because I know Jonathan Taylor, they've been talking. I know a lot of people said Miami, but why not Minnesota? Now the thing is, they didn't want to pay Dalvin Cook, but Dalvin Cook also ain't 24.
Yeah, but you know what? I didn't think of that, and I think you're on to something. Is for Jonathan Taylor, teams got to think outside the box, and I think a lot of people are thinking Miami, which I think that they've got a crowded running back room too.
Miami? Yeah, but Jonathan Taylor's like way better than all of them.
And he would fit into that scheme.
Absolutely.
Some people say Kansas City.
Well, here's the thing. Just like they throw Dallas and everything, they throw Kansas City as well. And it always makes sense until Kansas City don't do it and then they win 12, 13 games and you're like, well, damn. I mean, it's Andy Reid built something over there. But I think wherever Jonathan Taylor goes, he's going to make that team better. We know he's going to make the team better, but it's going to be a team that's like here that he makes a Super Bowl contender.
Yeah, I mean, the only teams that I think would not be in his market or should not at least kick the tires on him is the Jets now, because they got their situation. I don't feel like, even though we would take Jonathan Taylor, I mean, we got Christian McCaffrey, so it wouldn't make sense for the 49ers to take him. Really, the Titans, they've got a pretty good situation, so I don't see them taking them. Outside of that, I mean, I know that there's some top tier running backs, like, I don't want to leave out Mixon and Aaron Jones and stuff, but Jonathan Taylor is, when healthy, better than all those guys. I know that that's a bit of a stretch because we don't know if he is healthy and we don't know how he's recovered, but I think every team is going to at least do their due diligence to just at least even understand. Who I really like him for is the Commanders.
I mean, they got. I said I was gonna bring them up, but they got a 1-2 punch.
But Jonathan Taylor is
Jonathan Taylor. I get it. So I give you one more team. I give you one more team where if the duo is not the best, which you probably say that they not, that they up there. Ready? Detroit Lions.
So they
that's
got
Jameer Gibbs.
So they got Gibbs.
And they got David Montgomery, who is
might be slept on. Just so I think David Montgomery gets a bad rap because that Chicago offensive line wasn't the greatest,
right?
When he was there, it did get better as the years went on, but he came into the league when the Bears' offensive line was just terrible. This guy Gibbs, and I don't want to tip my hand too much because we've got all the fantasy drafts, but I will talk about him because he's no secret. Like, he is going to be going in the second or third rounds.
Mm-hmm.
I think that he's going to be the fantasy guy this year, just with his ability just to catch the ball out the backfield, and Jared Goff's ability to dump down or check down the ball. He's going to have a phenomenal season. And me and you, we've been both high up on the Lions since last year. So now I think he is going to have a pretty good season.
Yeah. So I mean, again, I know it's fantasy leagues about the draft, and I know running backs. We gave y'all a bunch of running backs that y'all could look into because, I mean, they're going to be available outside of the first round, outside of the second round, outside of the third round. So I do want to go back to something you said.
Oh, I got something I want to get off my chest.
Hold on. Before you go there, because you said something about not don't reach for a quarterback.
Okay.
Right. And I think that there's a set of guys, and we're talking non-keeper leagues, of course. We're not talking keeper leagues because your league could keep whatever. But anyway, I feel like sometimes you have to, if you already have a way you want to build your team, and I think that there's sometimes, if you could get Pat Mahomes, I would go get Pat Mahomes, especially depending on where you're drafting, right? But
so I think for me at least, if you have the opportunity to get Patrick Mahomes in the third or later, it's okay to reach for him.
Third round? You think Patrick Mahomes gets to the third round?
No, he doesn't.
Oh.
But the issue is, and where people make the silent mistake is, they'll take him in the first 2 rounds. But like, let's say I'll use you for example, right? You like your good buddy Joe Burrow,
right?
Let's say you get Joe Burrow in the 5th. It gives you the opportunity to fill out the rest of your roster, right? You know what I mean? You get to pick 2 running backs, you get to pick 2 receivers, and then you got Joe Burrow,
right?
Which nobody puts up Patrick Mahomes numbers, but Joe Burrow is in that neighborhood,
right?
So if I've got to play you and I've used my 2nd round pick, but then now you've stacked your team with good receivers and good running backs, and I go to play you, and let's say Patrick Mahomes throws for 5 touchdowns, but I don't have anybody else on my roster, but then you got 2 stud running backs or 2 stud receivers, and you got Burrow.
Yeah,
it's going to make it impossible for me to really compete, and that's why you see a lot of times now more so. If you have Patrick Mahomes, most of the time that person's not winning the league unless they trade it for him because they had to spend a lot of their early draft capital to get Patrick Mahomes, when you could take like a Dak Prescott, or you could take like a
their numbers would be pretty close.
It
ain't exactly. That the risk reward isn't there. So and
well, if you're struggling, if you're struggling to where, let's say you take Patrick Mahomes and you don't address a running back to like the 5th round, you may end up with Rashad Penny, right? And let's say, but I'm just saying like that might be.
But no disrespect to Rashad Penny.
No disrespect. But he's in a backfield with a committee. He's in a run by committee. So if I got Jonathan Taylor, or because he's not going in the first round either, so it's going to be interesting to see where he goes.
Jonathan Taylor goes, yeah.
I'm guessing in most leagues he's going to go to in the second round, right? You know what I mean? So let's say you pick up the guy from what's his name, Robinson from Atlanta, and then you have the opportunity to get Jonathan Taylor, and then you mess around and you get Burrow, you know what I mean? And then you get like a good receiver, and then Jonathan Taylor comes out, balls out, he's pissed off at the world. This guy in Atlanta is the rookie of the year. Yeah, you got Patrick Mahomes, but how do you compete with that? Yeah, I mean, you got Patrick Mahomes and Rashad Penny.
He's spitting right now, yo. Yeah, nah, you're right. You're absolutely right. So, ooh,
yeah, but again, I say that, and I think having a good quarterback on your fantasy team eases a lot of people's minds, right? So even though you may have a better team, so I did this last year. Last year I had crappy quarterbacks just almost across the board. I had Joe Burrow in one league, but for the most part, like for whatever reason, I was sold on Tom Brady last year, right? like I was just like, that's my guy, Michigan guy. He's not in a Patriot uniform no more. This is my guy. Year before that, he got me money. Last year, I had Tom Brady. And I was able to get Tom Brady like 12 or 13 because nobody else wanted.
I remember
Tom Brady anywhere, right? But I was able to still win a lot of my leagues with Tom Brady and Jared Goff as my quarterbacks, just because I had built the rest of my roster up so well. So last year was an outlier. Because typically, like I said, I like to have at least, you don't have to be the best, but I want a solid quarterback I can at least depend on.
Right.
But every matchup, even though I was winning them, I felt like I was out of them because you don't have that gunslinging quarterback. So it is something to say about having a dependable quarterback that you know is going to put up points, or a quarterback that you like, man, he going to throw 2 interceptions, throw for 150 yards, and probably give me a touchdown. Yeah, that's ugly.
Yeah. So, I mean, fantasy drafts is going to be good, man. But what we want to try to do is give us your thoughts on how y'all got your fantasy drafts set up. If you're in a keeper league, if you're in just one of those regular leagues, what do you like better? 10, 12, 14 player leagues, and all that. And, we'll probably show some of them and things of that nature. But let's get to the winner of the week. It's been...
Oh, man, my winner of the week is so old now. But
it needs to be talked about, I think. Honestly, there's probably like 5 winner of the weeks.
But the one that's coming to my mind...
Let's get to it.
No, you're a winner. No, you're a winner. No, you're a winner. No, you're a winner.
All right, so we got the week. I've been sitting on this winner of the week, and I'm going to bring it back out to everybody because the story is super old. But I would be remiss to come on air and not talk about James Harden. And
wow, that's not where I thought you was going, but okay.
Yeah, I want to talk about James Harden for a second. I'm sick of James Harden shit. I just am sick of James Harden shit. And it ain't even all about him calling Daryl Morey a liar a couple weeks ago. It's just, I'm just sick of this shit. I just want him to like accept who he is and kind of just move on from there. I'm so sick of the whining and the complaining and the just wanting to be out of places. And I mean, his tune is getting real old. So again, I could not go this episode without saying that because I've been wanting to say that for a couple weeks. What are your thoughts?
I ain't gonna lie. I ain't even think about James Harden because I kind of like blocked him out. I honestly, I don't care. I think that I understand that, he made one out of Philly, not for the reasons that he wanted out of Houston or the reasons that he wanted out of Brooklyn. I know think all of them are different reasons, but it's just like, oh, he's like a brat, and I really didn't care. I saw it, it's been on TV, but I would say this. I think as crazy as this may sound, I think that James Harden is underrated in his current state right now, right? Because one, he led the league in assists last year. I thought he had a pretty good season personally. I thought that in the series against Boston, I think he was getting a little bit too much of the blame, because my thing is this: even later on in the series, like I think it was game 6 and 7, he didn't have the greatest games. He had 2 40-point games when Embiid didn't really do nothing, whether he didn't play because he was hurt or whatever. So I think he did his job for the most part. When it comes to that series, I think he had an underrated season. I thought me personally thought he had a really good season last year.
So I would agree with you there, right? He had a good season. And I think we've talked about this before, and we can just kind of go back to this. The players know. I'm a firm believer of the players know.
Know what?
They know ballers.
Mm-hmm.
And for whatever reason, the players aren't really rocking with him as a baller. I think they recognize
I don't think that's the case, because Embiid is like, if he leaves, I want out. Embiid. So here's the thing.
So for the season that he had, though, you would think like more players would like want him on their team. And I'm not saying that it's something in his personality or something, but it's like, I can't really. Okay, I'll use you for example, right?
Oh shit!
No. You'll like this, right? So you've played football basically all your life, right? Still are around the game,
right?
Very rarely do I ever like have to second guess your opinion on a baller. It's like like if a guy's got talent, you know what I mean? And it's other players that know, and I'll just use your semi-pro team, right? It doesn't take long for somebody. It's almost like a feeling, right? You know, when you walk out there, you can just see, man, this guy can ball,
right?
Or this guy can hoop,
right?
Or yeah, I don't care what everybody else saying. It's that internal thing. With James Harden, I feel like that he puts up good stats. He passes the eye test. But for whatever reason, that season is going underrated because I don't think that the players are valuable. I don't think the players are given their credit to it because it's something missing there. Because you're right? He led the league in assists, averaged over 20 points. At his age, what more do you really want him to actually do? But for whatever reason, teams aren't jumping to get him, nor or players really, other than Embiid, really. And I know the Clippers, a lot of them said that they welcome him, but it wasn't like, yo, we got to get this guy over here, or we got to get this guy.
You talking about the Clippers?
Yeah.
Oh, they want him there.
They want him there, but it's not. I don't even know if I'm even describing it right, but I just don't feel like it's that aura like, yo, we need this guy to win, or go get this guy. This is the next piece for our franchise that's going to take us over.
So let me ask you a question.
Yeah,
and I ain't being funny. Do you think that your what's the word I'm looking for? Do you think that you being tired of him plays a part into that? Because at this point you're sick. You're sick and tired of James Harden. So it's just like, do you think your opinion is a little. I don't want to say biased, but it's like, I don't think. You know what I'm saying? Is it shifting towards what you're saying now because you're pretty much sick of his antics?
Yes and no. So
Oh, talk about straddling the fence.
no. Right.
Nah,
so
okay.
I can see where you would come to that conclusion, and
Mhm.
and I say, yeah, maybe that's starting. Maybe it has me looking at him like, yo, dude, you're not all that. You just probably need to shut up and ball.
Right.
No, I want to say objectively because I do recognize that he did have a good season.
Right.
Yes, last year. But I guess where I'm coming from is I just don't see the teams that are clamoring for him, and I don't get or understand what make a team really want him. Because if you put up a season like that and teams aren't knocking on your door trying to get you, it's got to be something there. Like I'm not saying it's a personality thing, but it's got to be a lack of respect on it. So I guess that's where I'm coming from is like, okay, you lead the league in assists. You show that you could be a good second option. You are there, but our teams saying we don't want that drama or we don't want that headache, and that's why we're not getting that guy.
I mean, that's quite possible. That's quite possible. So I mean, yeah. I think that is quite possible where there's guys in the league that's like, all right, man, I don't care. They're like, either I don't care or I don't want to deal with that. Whatever the team does, if he comes here, we'll ball with him. If not, oh well.
But I got to get something off my chest. This has been burning me all day.
Hey, man, it's your show, man.
My 49ers. So today, we announced that Trey Lance.
I'm glad you brought this up. Let's go. Because I wasn't going to bring it up. If you ain't bring it up, I am glad you brought this up. I'm glad we back. Forget basketball. It's football season. I am so happy that you brought this up because, man, oh, man, I got some things to say about this too. But the floor is yours. Take all the time you want. Yeah, I won't interrupt you. Let's go.
All right. What are we doing?
That's a good question.
And okay, so I get the logic in it, right? But are we admitting that we made a mistake? And so there's been a couple red flags there, and today I've been forced to acknowledge them, right? The first red flag was last year when we bought Garoppolo back.
They couldn't trade him.
But not only that, right? We basically said, Jimmy, thank you, but no thank you. Stay away from camp.
Correct.
At the end of camp, we decided to bring Jimmy back. That's first red flag number one there, right? So it had to be some sort of confidence issues in that organization to say, you know what, we need a backup plan because we had Brock Purdy there, and you had Trey Lance there, and it was what it was, right? Then these were just my expectations. You may not believe them. I expected Trey Lance to struggle a bit last year, right? I wouldn't say that we wasn't going to be a playoff team, but I expected there to be a learning curve because he hadn't played a lot of football. Because essentially all we were getting was a sophomore in college because he only played 1 year of college football. He's an athlete. You know, this is the guy. This is the guy that everybody wants.
Yep.
So he gets hurt.
He got hurt.
Second red flag. They bring in Sam Darnold. It was a red flag to me is, okay, we have a full-blown quarterback competition. This guy is healthy. Brock Purdy took us to the promised land. We're solid at quarterback, right?
Right.
But why would you need to sign this guy? So that was red flag number two.
You sign this guy as in Sam Darnold.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now all of which I thought to myself, but I still kind of kept it moving.
Right.
And so today,
Mm-hmm.
after watching Trey Lance in the preseason, I'm not giving up on the brother, but
Okay.
I did understand why he was going to be the third string quarterback.
Okay.
But with him being third string quarterback,
Right.
we wasted all that capital.
Mm-hmm.
We missed out on a lot of players.
Right.
And it seems like today the organization was admitting they made a mistake. And I think we might have seen the end of Trey Lance as a 49er quarterback. So where I'm at and why I had to bring this up, because fair is fair, right? I hold the Cowboys accountable. I hold any other team accountable. I've got to hold my team accountable because we gave up a ton of draft capital. And I think it's being kind of disguised because we've had a lot of success, but it still does not mean that it is acceptable to miss on a player of that caliber and give up all that draft capital to now have him as a third string quarterback. What are your thoughts?
So before I even go, was that you giving the 49ers winner of the week?
No, I couldn't do it. When you said that, I was like, shit. I was like, he read me like a book.
All right, so look. So I have a few things too. I think that one, I just spoke about this last night to one of our friends. And I feel like Kyle Shanahan is eventually his career, and I'm gonna say this before I get into everything else I gotta say. His career trajectory is looking really Andy Reid-ish, right? It's looking Andy Reid-ish, especially when he was in Philly and all of that. But I feel, this is me personally, I feel like Trey Lance is getting done dirty. Now, I get that, practice, but he's never really had the opportunity to really show what he can do, right? I don't even think he's played a full game because he got hurt in the Bears game, right? He got hurt the first game of the season, right?
No, he got hurt the second.
The second game, yeah, like early in the game, and the first game it was like a monsoon, right? So it was that game against the Bears was like, and I don't like to use weather because it's the same for everybody, but this is literally his first start in game one of the season. Because me personally, I'm the type of person where game one, I use game one for film and stuff like that, but I don't say this is what this guy is after one game, especially game one of the season, because it's just, you really don't know. Like literally everybody has a chance game one, right? So he played in the monsoon, then he got hurt. So, I don't know what's happening in camp, but I feel like to me, watching those two games, it didn't look like he really got a fair shake to show who or what he was in those preseason games. So
I'll agree and I disagree, right? So I agree with you that he's not necessarily getting a fair shake. What I disagree with you at is him being done dirty. And this is why I kind of like disagree, right? Because I think the circumstances changed. I think initially when he was drafted and last year, the expectations of the team was, we'll be okay. We won't.
Expectations were Super Bowl.
The
expectations were Super Bowl.
They were Super Bowl toward the middle of the year.
They went into that season with Super Bowl.
Well, no, not really, because Last year, when we had Trey Lance starting, every 49er fan knew that it was going to be some sort of learning curve. As the season,
you also had the number one defense,
right? But as the season progressed, because we started off rocky last year, when Brock Purdy when Jimmy Garoppolo kind of came in, stirred the ship a little bit. When Brock Purdy came in, the team started to realize, like, you know what, it is Super Bowl. Like we're
so
right.
I disagree.
So, no, let me finish. We didn't really think we were going to win the Super Bowl last year because we were going to give him the opportunity to grow. When Brock Purdy came in, the plan changed now, right? Because now when we went in for McCaffrey, went in for all these players.
I want to say Brock Purdy came in the game, McCaffrey's first game.
Yeah. So when we went in on all those things, it becomes now or never, right? So now the situation has changed to where you got Trey Lance a year later. He's still, like you said, he got hurt, still hasn't played a ton of football, still needs those reps, but you got the rest of the team that's looking at it like it's now or never, right? You know what I mean? And then you got like the GM, you got Kyle Shanahan, like he's in a position to where he's got to get this done. You know what I mean? And he can't just roll somebody out there that's not ready and this kind of learning on the fly. So I think because of the circumstances, and you risk losing the locker room, right? Because if they put him out there, let's say he's the starter just because of his draft pick, and he hasn't really earned that right, you run the risk of losing all those veterans and the rest of the locker room. And to the point that I was making earlier, people know ballers, right? Teammates know ballers. And I get a sense that everybody around the organization is thinking like, you know what? We're not going to say that his career is over. We're not going to say that he can't have a good career, but he doesn't give us the best opportunity to win.
Okay. All right. I mean, I guess, you know, me personally, I can understand Brock Purdy being a starter. And
so I agree with you there.
Yeah,
I agree.
He did what, like, things changed, but trade him and give him an opportunity to grow because he's not gonna grow in San Francisco.
So I think that's what is eventually going to happen. I think that they probably have been trying to trade him, but they took their hand. And I feel like teams are not going to really give anything above maybe a fourth rounder for.
I mean, I get it.
Or fifth rounder. So I think they're going to have to take what they can get. But I do agree that the right thing to do would be to trade him, get him into a different situation where he'll have the opportunity to kind of either be developed or, you know, play some football. I think what stuck out to me this preseason a lot is when you don't have that game experience, you don't process everything as fast. And I think, like, with him, we got enamored with the fact that he can run and that he could be an athlete. But football is not just all about, like, being athletic. Like you've got to be able to process everything and make split decisions at that level. And I think that comes with reps. And I think a lot of people think it just comes with, like, film study. But you can tell us firsthand that, you know, you've got to be out there getting that experience.
Right. No, I agree.
To be good. And he never got that opportunity. But that's something that we knew going in.
Well, that was the plan for last year. He should have got the reps last year, but he got hurt.
Right.
And things happen. All right. So, I mean, we're about to get out of here. But it's one last thing. I got to get some stuff off my chest now.
Okay.
So I understand. I'm a Cowboys fan, as you all may know. And I understand the bias that is a Cowboys bias. It's a real thing. And I get it. So it's one Stephen A. Smith. I watch First Take. I am a fan of his work to an extent. I think that I know some people may not like him. They say he yells too much, but I do think that he is knowledgeable on the game of basketball, right? I think he knows some football, but he's not really. He'll say it himself that he's not an expert on football. With that being said, if you feel like you want to hold Dak accountable and things of that nature, then you should hold other quarterbacks accountable, right? And hear me out. So they bring up Dak, and can he get the job done? All this Dak struggles in the big moments. A lot of I'll even say Dak is the reason why we didn't go to the NFC Championship last year. I feel like if Dak played a half decent, that interception before the half killed everything, right? Because you guys went down and got another field goal when we could have easily got a field goal. It would have been a 1-point game. So anyway, today he said that, first of all, he said he was in his 9th year and only got 2 playoff wins in 9 years. Well, first off, Dak's only been in the league 7 years, right? And I just want people to be correct when they make things, because he's on a big platform. So he said he was in the league for 9 years. He's only been in the league, and that makes a difference, because if you say somebody got 2 playoff wins in 9 years, that sounds a whole lot worse than he got 2 playoff wins in 7 years, even though it is what it is. So in Dak's first 3 years, he went to the playoffs 2 out of those 3 years, and got a playoff win his second appearance. Then you got somebody like Justin Herbert. And again, I like Justin Herbert as a player. I think he's good, but he's the highest paid quarterback in the league right now. Am I right? Right? Yeah. He makes more than Lamar now. He's the highest paid quarterback. And this is his 4th season. In his 3 years, he's only had 1 playoff appearance. In that 1 playoff appearance, he had a 27-point lead in the first half. Had a 27-point lead and lost the game. Now, he didn't throw a lot of interceptions, but he damn sure ain't helped the Chargers. He should have gotten more of the blame than the defense did. Because, again, this is an offensive league. We get it. He couldn't sustain a drive in the second half. You see what I'm saying? So in the second half, you get 4 possessions, and you get down to kick a field goal, you miss the field goal, but you had 3 other possessions where you punted or you turned the ball over. Not him per se, but they didn't get the job done. At the end of the day, it don't matter what all those stats don't matter. You had a 27-point lead and you didn't get the job done. And then the very next offseason, you become the highest paid quarterback in the league when you haven't proven a thing in the league. Yes, he has a lot of stats. He could swing, he could throw the ball all over the field. But when I hear people talk about Dak, even Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, give me another quarterback. It doesn't matter. They bring up Aaron Rodgers. They bring up the postseason. So you want to hold Dak accountable? Can the Cowboys do this? Can Dak do that? And if you look at the Chargers roster, they just as loaded as the Cowboys. If you look at the Chargers, first of all, they got a basketball team in their receiver room, like 6'6", 6'5", 6'4", la da 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 da. They got Austin Eckler, one of the best backs in the league. They got one of the best tackles in the league. They got a damn good defense. So could they got Joey Bosa, Derwin James. They got pieces. But I don't hear anything about Justin Herbert.
So
here comes an excuse for Justin Herbert.
No. I'm not going to make an excuse for Justin Herbert. I think you're right. A lot of quarterbacks don't get held to the same standard. And I think that the only way Dak will come out of this kind of show that he's in is he's got to win a Super Bowl.
See, that's unfair.
Hold on. It is, but it's the truth about the Cowboys. I mean, if you're going to be the Cowboy quarterback, you're going to be held to that standard. That's just going to come with the job. I think last year, and you were the first to admit it, and you were right. The Cowboys lost because of Dak. Like it was,
absolutely. And Dak knows that.
Yeah, Dak knows that.
Yeah.
Everybody knows that. The team played great. It was his performance that
I agree.
Lost that game.
I agree.
He's going to be held to a standard for that. Is it unfair? Absolutely. Is he the worst quarterback in the league? No. Is he one of the top quarterbacks in the league? I think so. But until he figures out how to win that game, and I mean, maybe he's got to go on a deep playoff run. Maybe he's got to do something. He's going to be held to that standard. And you got a lot of people, and this season is a break or make season for him. And I know a lot of Cowboys fans may not want to hear that, but if he doesn't produce this season, a lot of heads are going to be calling for his removal and to have him replaced. Now, is it good for the Cowboys? Possibly not, but it's a lot of individuals out there. Some Cowboys fans think that he's not the best option.
It was point me to him so I could tell them that they not real Cowboys fans.
No.
I mean, because here's the thing, Dak is. If you think this, I'm gonna tell y'all now. If you think Dak's not the man for the job,
he's got it. But he's got to show that though. I think statistically,
Dak's been more than damn good.
He is damn good,
so
but the only
ain't 10 quarterbacks better.
Okay, but
shit ain't 8 better.
But where the goal mark is for him, and we'll just say just him, because it is the standard that he's being held to. Agree or disagree, he's being held to this standard.
He's being held to a standard, right? That first round quarterbacks aren't being held to, which is the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life. It's stupid. It's dumb. It makes no sense. And again, if you want to be a journalist. I know the sound had went out, but it's cool. Don't worry about what we said. It was damn good. It was damn good. Y'all missed the gym. It was only a little bit. But now let's get up out of here. Let's get up out. So Scott, you ain't gotta yell, but this is off the record. This is off the record, y'all.
All right, man. Peace.
This is Anthony Adebayo.
Boy, Scotty B.
We out. Oh shit, hold on. Let me give y'all a little bit of the smooth sounds off the record.
Anthony Adebayo.
With you there, but if you're a coach, do you take that chance?
Yes. You can reach us at the Off the Record Show at gmail.com. Anthony Adebayo and the most accurate sports coverage. Scotty B's Fantasy 5.
We're different from any other sports.
His sophomore year. Comes back and says, you know what?
And your boy, Scotty B.